Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to episode 52. Gary, that's a year's worth of podcasts if we were going one a week, but we're going two now. And today we're going to be talking about a subject that I'm really interested in right now, right? We're going to be talking about Canelo versus Edgar Berlanga because that fight's coming up, Gary. But what I'm really interested in and hearing a lot about lately, man, is this little beef that's going on between the Saudis and the face of boxing, Gary. It's, Canelo Alvarez versus Turki Alalsheikh. I never thought, Gary, that we'd be having this beef. I didn't know this is the beef that we all needed in our lives but didn't know about, but here it is, and it's happening, man. First off, before I continue, Gary, how rude of me. You're the man. You're my co-host. Proud to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. It's football season now with the kids, so on Thursdays I gotta rush from practice and do all this stuff. But
Get it.
other than that, I'm doing pretty good. What about you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You're doing the Lord's work for those kids, Gary. Don't think I don't know it. We're doing the same thing at FightersRep for kids that are just a touch older, if you ask me. So.
Look, see, I still got the whistle on right now.
But anyway, Gary, so excited to talk about this, man. Let's start off with the Berlanga fight, in the press conference and everything else. I'm not sure you've had a chance to look at that. What are your thoughts on this fight? I also wanted to get a prediction on this fight too, but what are your thoughts on this fight being made? A lot of people are talking about should have been Benavidez. Is it going to be Crawford? What are your thoughts on this fight, Edgar Berlanga versus Canelo Alvarez?
I mean, well, definitely at the Munguia fight, it definitely should have been David Benavidez. It actually should have been David Benavidez before the Munguia, but I'll give him a pass if he wanted to, take another fight with somebody a little bit lesser with Munguia. But then after Munguia, to go pick Berlanga instead of picking David Benavidez, obviously. But like I said, he's at Canelo's at this point where he just, take it easy and pick and choose. He's not going to be fighting all these young guys coming up like that, like crazy. He's going to pick and choose fights that benefit him, fights that he thinks that are good for him, that where they can still be exciting and sell tickets, but it's also advantageous to him. You already heard him say he don't like guys that move around. When they talked about Bud, he's a guy that move around. I don't really like guys that move around like that. Because I told you that fights ago. He ain't trying to fight no more guys that's moving around. He ain't trying to do that. He just not. You know what I mean?
He
don't want to do it.
He's just trying to lay back and let her do all the work, huh, Gary?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? He's at the stage where, I don't want to chase a guy. I want a guy that's going to come forward, a guy that, is going to be, I guess like it's going to make it easier for him. I ain't saying the easy fights, but it's going to be easier. I ain't got to chase him down. The guy's going to come to me. And if the guy can beat me at fighting toe-to-toe, then fine.
Yeah.
But I don't believe there's too many guys out there that's really going toe-to-toe with Canelo and beating them. It ain't too many. You might have the Better BLs or the Bivol. I think Bivol's big enough and strong enough to do it. And I think, Benavidez is. But that's the reason why he hasn't really went and fought Bivol again, who said he'll come down to 168. And that's the reason why he's fighting who he's fighting, because I think he kind of knows who's going to be a long day at the office and who's not. And I think he's at the point where I proved enough. If I want to fight these guys, I'll fight them. But if I don't, he's almost has that type of attitude, which I don't agree with, but whatever. If you're going to still fight, try to fight the best, in my opinion. Berlanga, he's selling the fight. He's talking tough. He's talking a lot of smack. And
he is.
Hey, he better back it up, because hey, I like the little thing when he was going at when he was sitting there going at what's his name? He was going at
Caleb Plant.
Caleb Plant.
Yeah.
And the Canelo tells him, don't worry, I got him for you. I got him.
Yeah. I like that too. So I guess, if you could summarize for me, right? You're okay with the Berlanga fight, but you think it should be Benavidez. You think he should be fighting Benavidez. I mean, why?
Well, I ain't okay with it. I'm not okay with it, but it is what it is.
Well, playing devil's advocate, I mean, why isn't it okay at this point in his career where he's pretty much fought everybody on the planet, if you ask me, right? Why isn't it okay at this point in his career for him to take a fight like, Berlanga and to pick and choose who he wants to fight if he's the A side and if the boxing business, right, because it's the business model's fault, is allowing him to do this? What do you think about that, Gary? I mean, that's something I thought, I've been toiling with that in my head all day. It's the business is allowing him. It allows people to do this. It's been allowing people to do this for a long time, Gary.
Well, it's not the business really. It's in my opinion, it's the fans. I mean, because the fans sat back and said, we don't want to see that bullshit. We're not going to pay for it. It almost forces him to, actually, get in there with people that the fans want to see. But as long as you keep buying his fights, and as long as you keep, he can make 30 million a fight guaranteed easily. And then, like he said, I make 80% off of everything sold. Right. He's bringing in money. Like, is nothing to push him to want to do these fights because his Mexican fan base is there. They're gonna show up to whoever he fights. They're gonna defend him. They're gonna do all this. And like, it's not that I feel like he has something to prove, but I still think that he's young enough to still fight the best fighters out there.
Yeah.
Like, once you start getting into 37, 38, then you kind of like, man, I'm not going back to fight no 24-year-old dude or no 27-year-old dude. I'm 38, whatever. I get it. But right now he's like what, 33, 34?
34. By the way, Eduardo Dufal's in here, says Canelo KO Crawford and Turkey without throwing one punch. Pa. And then he says something between 120, 150 USD million and Canelo fights Benavidez or Crawford. Appreciate you being in here, Eduardo. And if this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe, join the channel, and give us a follow at FightersRep. And you can follow Gary at Ignite Behavior. He is my official FightersRep co-host and a boxing expert, an expert basically in everything, if you ask him. So,
I mean, you putting a little extra on all that, but I'll take it.
So you're putting the onus on the fans, right? For me, it's still the business, right? The fans are part of the business. If you're in the business, the casuals are a huge problem. They're a gift and a curse, these casuals, right? Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, the casuals. They can make and break, right? Like, Jake Paul, claims to be a boxer, claims to want to, win a title in the cruiserweight division, this and that. But he's fought nothing but, for the most part, MMA fighters that are over 35 years old. And that's, he's making a killing off that based on casual fans who don't really know any better. I mean, it's not really competitive fights, except when he fought Tommy Fury and he lost. The only time he fought, a legitimate boxer that was young and not really in his prime yet, but a real boxer. So these casuals are a gift and a curse, Gary. I think, me and you have argued about this in the past. I think this is the problem with the boxing model. I think the UFC model does not allow this as anywhere near as often because the best are forced to fight the best because there's, basically one league, one belt, and if you want to fight for that belt, you got to You got to fight your way up. In boxing, we got at least 4 predominant, sanctioning bodies giving out belts. And so, if you're in one's good graces, maybe you could become number 1 contender and fight for a title with that one. And it doesn't even mean you're one of the best fighters in that division. But nonetheless, I just think Canelo really here is capitalizing on the business model of boxing. What I wanted to ask you, right, Gary, and you could retort to that after this question, or as a part of this question, right? But I wanted to ask you too, is you mentioned he's too young. I agree. I feel like he's a bit too young to be doing this. He should probably be, taking challenging fights. But here's my retort to that, right? He's taken a lot of challenging fights in his life, Gary. There's a guy who fought Cotto and Mosley and Mayweather and Lara and Kovalev. And I mean, it just goes on and on and on, Gary. This guy's fought everybody, and they're always going to expect him to fight the next guy that they think is the next big thing. At some point, I think that's got to become tiresome for a fighter, right? I mean, but like you're saying, still young. Here's the other side of that, though, Gary. He's got a lot of miles on the odometer, right? Look at all the opponents I just named. I feel like me and you've been watching Canelo since before we had kids. We've been watching Canelo, man. Like, he's got a lot of miles on the odometer, so maybe he's not old biologically, but I think on the odometer, there's a lot of miles. I mean, do you think that's why he's starting to maybe take his foot off the gas a little bit? Because he's an older 34, even though he still looks good.
Well, I've said before, and it's funny, I was actually having this conversation with somebody else, and they were saying,
"Don't you dare talk boxing with someone else. I'm a jealous mistress."
You. Nah, but I was talking.
Does he have a YouTube channel, Gary? Does he have?
Hey, was it on? Hey, I saved
who's this person, Gary?
Hey, I saved the juicy stuff for you, okay? I don't tell her I love her, okay?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
But no, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, I basically I don't I've said this with him because he was talking about Terrence Crawford chances against Canelo when he was.
Gary, you there? All right, guys, looks like Gary cut out on us for a second while he's sorting out his Miami-Dade County Wi-Fi, which I'm also on. Be sure to join us on September 7th at the Commerce Casino in Los Angeles for FightersRep 25, and on September 21st for FightersRep 26 at the Pompano Beach Arion Event Center. You guys are not going to want to miss it. These events are going to be fantastic. And hold on, Gary, you there?
Am I? You got me?
Yeah.
You got
me? These events are going to be fantastic, and we hope to have you guys there. The only other way besides buying your tickets to watch is to tune in right here and join the channel. It's just $9.99 a month, and you can cancel anytime. Alex E says, "What's up, fellas? This little feud with His Excellency Turki and Canelo will cause a reset for boxing. Turki is telling Canelo the truth, and he has to accept it. The truth hurts, but it's needed. Canelo can fight who he wants. That's totally fine, but he can't hold the belts hostage and should be stripped." Okay, but again, I want to answer that, Alex, and sorry to cut you off here. We'll let you back on, your train of thought there. But Alex, that's the boxing model's fault. That's the sanctioning body's fault for not stripping him already. That's the boxing model's fault. This has nothing to do, I don't think, with Canelo. He's just taking advantage of what's being put in front of him. And as long as this boxing model is this way, this kind of behavior will continue the way it is now. At the same time, it is a business. It's sports entertainment. And so while I do think, obviously, there's an argument that, hey, he should be fighting the best all the time, whatever. He's also earned the right to do things his way. He's also built his brand and his business to do things his way. And that's something I really respect about this. And I'll give my thoughts on that in a minute. But go ahead, Gary. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, my thing is that I when they were talking about whether he has a chance against Terrence Crawford, whether Terrence Crawford has a chance against him and things of that nature. And I do feel like he has taken a step back a little bit, slowed down a little bit because of the wars and because he's getting older. So I do think he is getting older, but I don't think that it took too much of a step back to where he's not one of the best fighters in the world right now.
Yeah.
And so he's still one of the best fighters in the world. I think he can't fight at 175 anymore. 168, 160 is probably where he needs to stay at. And I just think that, does he have to prove? He's a Hall of Fame already. His legacy is cemented in that he's already one of the greatest fighters ever. But he can he can elevate his legacy. I don't think he can really hurt his legacy.
Yeah.
He can elevate it at this point by beating people like Benavidez and different people like that. I just feel like if you want to hold the belts, if you want to still be the face, this is what you're going to have to do a little bit, is fight some of the up and coming people. You're going to have to fight some bigger people, but actually, you know what? That's not what he's going to have to do, because the fans he has a big enough fan base that they're going to still watch.
Listen, Gary, I feel like this conversation, right? This entire conversation. And by the way, Eduardo Defal says everybody has his payday with Canelo. If Turkey wants those fights, he has to pay and give Canelo his payday.
Not 150 though, bro.
Well, the thing is about this whole situation, Jaime Munguia is no joke. I didn't think Jaime Munguia was a joke. And I don't think Edgar Berlanga is a joke. I mean, he's not David Benavidez, in my opinion. But Edgar Berlanga is undefeated. And Jaime Munguia was undefeated. And these guys are really solid fighters. I mean, if you were to put them up against almost anyone else, people wouldn't be saying much. These are really good fighters. You know what I mean, Gary? And
it's a difference when people say
it's a lot of scrutiny being Canelo. It's a lot of scrutiny.
I mean, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, Mayweather got scrutiny when he picked certain people. Bud, I won't even say Bud. I'll say Errol Spence. When at welterweight, he was the guy and he was doing this. People want to see you. Oh, you're ducking Bud, or you're ducking this. Every time a guy starts getting to the top of the mountain, somebody's gonna say, "Well, he didn't fight this guy, or he fought this guy, or he's ducking this guy, or this." And I get it. I don't really feel like most of these guys are scared of this person or that person. But I do know fighters at a certain point when they're trying to make the exit, they're trying to make the most money they can without taking the most damage. Yeah. And if I can fight this guy over here and make a lot of money and maybe not take as much damage, that's what I'm gonna do, because I'm backing out. And
let me ask you something, Gary. Based on what you've seen, right, and based on your own knowledge as a boxing fan, and by the way, shout out Alex E says, I agree it's the sanctioning body's fault for allowing Canelo to hold the belts. In boxing, I think entertainment and legacy should go together. Okay, but we also gotta, and I appreciate that, Alex, but we also gotta think about business, right? Because it is sports entertainment. So business, legacy, and entertainment all goes together, right? That's what Canelo, I think, is doing here. That's what Floyd Mayweather did. It's what so many of the best boxers of their generation are doing now, best fighters of the generation. But let me ask you, Gary, from what you've seen, right? Everybody's always talking about the Benavidez fight. What do you think happens in a fight between Crawford and Benavidez? Before I go on to the Turkey situation, what do you think happens in a fight between Crawford and Benavidez?
Oh man, I mean, that one's the tough one. I think that's a tougher fighter for Terrence Crawford than Canelo, only because Benavidez is taller, the arms, he's actually, in my opinion, probably a naturally bigger guy than Canelo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just naturally bigger than Canelo.
But everybody is at 168. Everybody is at 100.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the thing is, he's young. He's young.
Who do you
So
think
it's
wins
like,
that fight? Who do you think wins that fight here?
man, honestly, I think Benavidez.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think he's more skilled than Crawford, but I mean, at a certain point,
Then Canelo?
size and huh?
More skilled than
No, I don't
Canelo
think
or
he's
Crawford?
no, I don't think he's more skilled than Crawford. You said Benavidez and Crawford, right?
No, no, no. I'm asking if
Oh,
Canelo fought Benavidez.
oh. I mean, I I mean that will be a very good fight. Um, I don't think Benavidez can knock out Canelo because Canelo's been hit by some of the
I don't think
biggest
anyone can
punches.
knock out Canelo.
Yeah, I don't think, but I think Benavidez stands a pretty good chance to win that fight. If I didn't think it before, but over time I changed my mind. Looking at how Canelo's fighting at this age and after all these wars, if Benavidez can keep up the output, he got a little gas at 175. So
Yeah.
at 168, I think maybe he can keep up the output, keep up the pressure, keep up the, you know, because he got faster hands than Canelo. He's gonna be the bigger guy, the longer guy. Um,
No
and
Diddy.
I think, yeah, I think he can eke out a win against Canelo. It's not guaranteed because Canelo is still a crafty vet, but
Yeah.
I think he can take Canelo's power, and I think he can overwhelm Canelo a little bit just with his youth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And that's why I think Canelo really doesn't want that fight, because you're fighting like, I remember Mayweather when you had the Errol Spences and the Buds coming up, beginning, and Mayweather was like, I'm gonna lead them young lions to fight, like they're all the way
Yeah.
back here. I'm not
I
trying to keep
still
fighting some
I
dudes in
think
their
it'll be
20s.
great. I think it'll be a great fight, but I still favor Canelo in that fight. I still think Canelo, if he shows up at his best, I think Canelo wins that fight. Um, and that's why I just, it's not that big of a deal to me. I mean, I want to see it. Don't get me wrong, I want to see it. But for me, I'm giving him kind of a pass because he's fought so many people already in his career, and especially when he went up to like 175 and fought Kovalev, I was like, holy shit, dude, what is this guy doing? I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate the guy. They're always going to hate on him for some shit, and I still think he's better than. I still think he's better than Benavidez. I think the Crawford fight would be interesting, but I just think he's too big for Crawford too. Although I think it would be a good fight, because I never put nothing by Crawford. I think Crawford's the man. But let's read some of these comments real quick. Gary Eduardo Dufal says Canelo can KO Benavidez. So Alex, he says, I don't know about KO, but I think he would give him a good fight. Alex, he says Canelo smokes, but it will walk him down all night. He won't be able to do that against Benavidez, which is dangerous. That being said, I'm not saying Canelo would lose, but would take damage. And then, what was your score of Crawford versus Madrimov? For me, it was a tie, like I said, until the last two rounds. I thought Bud Crawford went in there and took the fight away from Madrimov, just beat him in the last two rounds. So I had it 7-5.
I had it 8-4.
Gary had it 8-4. I think the round difference between me and Gary was I gave Madrimov the first round, but it could have been for Crawford too. I mean, I thought it was super close. It was hard to score a lot of those rounds, Gary.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I don't judge things off of that fight. What can be in the future.
Yeah.
That I feel like both of them kind of didn't fight their very best. I think Madrimov and Crawford kind of was more hesitant in the fight. This Crawford first time at 154. Madrimov, knows the allure of Crawford, that he's this crafty fighter. He definitely didn't fight like he normally does. And I think Crawford was more so waiting to counter and trying to just test out the weight, really, to see how
Yeah.
hard a guy at 154 can hit him. If a guy can hurt him, it's always that you think you know, but it's always like, let me really see what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought Crawford won most of those rounds. I don't think Madrimov was active enough in a lot of those rounds to really, take it. But like far as knocking Crawford out, could Canelo do that? Yeah. I mean, Canelo probably would want to walk him down, break him down, but
Yeah.
Crawford's crafty. And I mean, he's
Yeah.
smaller, but he's a smaller guy. But like he's saying, like it ain't like Canelo hasn't fought smaller guys before. He fought
Yeah.
Mayweather at a catch weight, 152. He fought. I think he said he fought. What's your boy? Arabic. Fast hands.
Oh, Amir
Glass
Khan.
chin. Amir Khan. Amir Khan wasn't. He fought. Amir Khan wasn't as big as Canelo, and he went up there and fought Canelo. Now he
Yeah.
got knocked out, but
I
and
think he went up
he
two
fought
weight.
Jamel Charlo.
I think he went up like 2 weight classes to fight him too, didn't he?
Yeah, and he fought Jamel Charlo.
Yeah,
Or was
that
it?
was.
Yeah, and that was 2 weight classes up. So I mean, he didn't knock out Jamel Charlo, and I think Crawford's a better fighter than Jamel Charlo. Now he did drop him once, but I think Crawford would do. I think Crawford watching Canelo against Jamel and Jamel surviving, and Crawford thinking I'm a lot better fighter than Jamel, and that's what
Yeah.
I think Crawford thinks. And so I still give Crawford a chance. Obviously, the bet and favorite will be with Canelo just because he's the bigger guy. But I
Yeah.
also feel the same way with Canelo with Benavidez.
Yeah.
Benavidez is the bigger guy. Benavidez is the younger guy.
Yeah.
And so I think Canelo may have more skills than Benavidez at this point. Overall skills at this point. I think the youth, the speed, the size will give Canelo a lot of problems. And I think Canelo knows that too. And I think also Canelo doesn't want to fight Bud because he knows Bud's game plan is going to be to move around, stick
Yeah.
and move, try to outbox him. And he's already said, I don't like that style of boxing. I don't want to
Eduardo
do that.
Eduardo Dufau says Madrimov is 2 or 3 levels below Canelo and doesn't hit as good 168 Canelo does. It's a good point. I mean, that's a good point too. I do think Madrimov though showed that he's a very good boxer. And I think when you're a really good boxer, you're a really technical boxer, even if you do have 10 pro fights, I mean, he had like 300 amateur fights, but even if you have just 10 pro fights and you're the bigger guy too, which Madrimov was in that fight, and he was used to and acclimated at that fight, you're going to look good. So, I don't know. I would like to see it, but I think a Benavidez Canelo fight makes more sense for me than a Crawford Canelo fight. I feel like and I'd still watch Crawford Canelo, but I think Crawford should maybe stick around 154 and try to unify that division as well. That might be a good idea, especially before jumping 2 weight classes, Gary. We're not talking about 1 weight class here. We're talking 2 weight classes to go up there and fight Canelo if he ever did it. That would be crazy. Now let's get into this turkey beef. We're gonna call it turkey beef.
That's an oxymoron. Turkey beef.
Turki Alalsheikh and Canelo Alvarez. It looks like they reached out to Canelo, Gary. They were trying to make this Crawford fight for February. Canelo says, "Hey, right now I'm focused on Berlanga. I'm 100% focused on Berlanga. I'm not thinking about that." What was interesting to me in this situation was I feel like Canelo is the guy that doesn't need your money, right? He doesn't need your money. And I appreciate what Turkey's doing, man. I appreciate what Turkey's doing. He's trying to make big fights. He's paying the guys a lot of money. But this guy doesn't need your money. And this guy wants to drive his career in the direction that he wants to drive it in. He wants to take it in the trajectory that he wants to take it in. Maybe he's not interested that much in the Crawford fight. Maybe he's more interested in making these other fights. I mean, I think this Berlanga fight, right, is going to get a lot of attention just because of the whole Mexico-Puerto Rico rivalry, you know, and he can fight a ton of guys, this guy, and make a lot of money. You know, I'm not saying he'll make 150 or 200. I don't know. I don't even know what Turki offered him. But it was interesting to me to see someone turn Turki down and then to see how he acted afterwards in response to being turned down. And I gotta say, Gary, I'm the Arab American on the show. I'm proud of the heritage and the culture and everything and what's going on in the Arab world as far as entertainment and the fight sports. But I gotta say, I was really turned off and disappointed in the way Turki Alalsheikh reacted when Canelo turned down his fight. I mean, he went to personal attacks, right? He was saying how, you want easy fights ever since you fought Bivol and lost, and I'm not the one afraid to fight this guy and that guy, and I don't care if you respect me or not. It just came off as very childish to me, Gary, and it came off as disrespectful, right? And the reason it came off as disrespectful to me, right, is because I'm a promoter. I don't purport to be a fighter. I've had a backyard fight, in Miami, Gary. I've done a smoker. I've had some hard sparring. I've gotten into fights in school and in the street and everything else. But I'm not purporting to be a fighter. I would never claim I'm a fighter. And so I would never put it out there in public, right, when I didn't get my way, that this guy's afraid of that guy and this guy doesn't want to do this because he's scared. I just thought it was a little disrespectful, and it didn't sit well with me, Gary. Kind of tell me what your thoughts are on this situation.
Well, he's not the first promoter to say things about another fighter, say the fighter's ducking, say the fighter's scared, fighter doesn't want to do this when they try to push a fight. He's not the first one. So if that's the case, you got to talk about all of them, because all of them say these type of things and say these outlandish things. But I also feel like Turk, Big Turk, what am I call him? He's Big Turk is a little frustrated because he's like, look, I tried to offer this guy to fight Benavidez, which is the fight, because the reason why he's in the fight game, he's not here to make money. He's here to make the fights that people want to see. Because that's the thing. He has enough.
Gary, he's here to make money, brother. He's not here to make. He's not here to make you happy. He's not here to make you happy, Gary.
Yeah, but from what I'm hearing, he's not making that much money off these fights. What he's offering the fighters, what he's spending, from what I've been reading, it's not like he's making stupid, crazy money off of these fights now. Like, they say he's a big fan of the sport, and he got crazy money. So when you have crazy money, it's like being the owner of an NBA basketball team. Yeah, do you want to make money? But a lot of these guys don't make money off of NBA basketball teams. Like the owner that owns the Miami Heat, they say it's just a project, it's a toy for him. He's a billionaire. He's not really making money like that off the team. Yeah. So I look at it like that with Turki. Is like, if I make money, cool. If I don't, it's kind of just something. When you have that much money and you like a sport or you like something, you wanna like the Clippers owner. He's stupid, crazy billionaire. He's spending money on the Clippers. He's not making that type of money off of the Clippers. And so that's my only point, is he's trying to get the fights that he wants to see because he's a fan of the sport. And he's willing to pay. He's willing to put his money up. And if he makes a little bit of money, that's cool. But I'm willing to pay and put my money up to see these fights. And he tried to do the Benavidez fight. Canelo's turning that down. He's trying to do the Bud Crawford fight. Canelo's turning that down. So him as a fan of the sport is like, oh, this guy is just scared. He doesn't want to make the fight. I'm trying to offer money. And for you to say, I want $200 million to fight Benavidez, $150 million to fight Crawford, and you're not getting that on other fights guaranteed.
Oh, how selfish of me. Let's do everything you want to do, Turkey.
I'm paying you, I'm compensating you, and you come with something that you know that's not gonna happen. Guarantee me 150 million and I'll fight Bud. Like, come on, man. Are you asking anybody else to guarantee you that any other fight? No, you're not. Guarantee me 200 million, I'll fight Benavidez. You're not really negotiating in good in doing good negotiation. You're putting up a number that you know that is not gonna happen. And basically you're wasting my time. So that's why he end up says, I'm done trying to do the Bud Crawford Canelo fight. I don't want to do that no more. I don't want to see that no more. Because why I'm gonna do these negotiations and you're not giving me serious numbers. You're giving me these outlandish numbers because you don't want to do that.
You don't think it's a little disrespectful what he said though about him being, he wants easy fights since he lost to Bivol and this and that. I mean, this is some guy who looks like this is some guy who looks like, bro. This is some guy who looks like he's never gotten off the couch.
Bob Arum never got off the couch. He says disrespectful shit all the time. Oscar De La Hoya box, so we can't do Oscar. We can't do Oscar, but Oscar talks his shit to boxers all the time, and he's not fighting anymore.
Right.
Then you got, but even Eddie Hearn has questioned certain boxers. A lot of promoters have questioned boxers' intent. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to make the fight. Even with Devin Haney's father, Bill Haney, he says all types of things, and he critiques. Oh, this guy doesn't want to do this. This guy, that's what they do to try to force somebody to try to get public opinion against you, to force you to do what they want you to do, to take a fight, and that's why you have them going back and forth on Twitter where people have cursed out Eddie Hearns, where people have said things to De La Hoya, and all this. So I mean, it's just the game, the nature of the game. Promoters gonna say what they want to try to get you to put the pressure on you, and so I just think it's normal promoter talk.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little disrespectful, but I guess we'll have different opinions on that. Alex, he says the whole card was childish in a sense, showing Turkey every 10 minutes or so. He even got inducted into some Hall of Fame. What? The real ones move in silence in the background. I kind of agree with it. I mean, I feel like this guy's just walking in because he has a lot of money. He's just kind of like bought his way to the table, and I think it's starting to rub some people the wrong way, if I'm being honest with you. And I don't think what he said to Canelo there. I don't think what he said to Canelo.
This is why I'm gonna disagree. Because every time lately, all I've been hearing, every time a big fight needs to be made, where they go, hey, Turkey, what do you think about if Turkey makes the fight? Everybody turns to that question on every podcast, everything I see, everybody, hey, what? They look to him to make the fights. Oh, Boots and Bud. Turkey, you think you can make it happen?
I think I told you a while back that this was going to backfire at some point. And I think it is. I think it's going to backfire at some point. I do. I think he's going to mess up. He's going to mess with the pay so bad, I think, that I think a lot of fighters are not going to want to fight at some point, because once he's gone, or if they're not dealing with him directly, they're dealing with some other promotion, these guys are not going to want to fight. I think this is going to cause a lot of problems. I also don't, I don't think it was cool the way I don't think it was smart the way he spoke to Canelo. Canelo's the face of boxing. That's not somebody you want on your shit list. If you're a promoter, you want to be able to work with everybody, man. And I think Eddie Hearn does a great job doing that, right? For me, this is looking like growing pains. I could be wrong, but this is kind of looking like growing pains for me.
I don't give a shit about your face of boxing as long as Turki Alalsheikh, hopefully I said his name right.
Why are you messing? Look, I've been your friend for a long time. You're still fucking our names up. Go ahead.
Big Turk. How about that?
I can pronounce Gary Martin Just
As
fine.
long as
All right.
you can say, you don't have to say Gary Martin. You can say Garrow. I'm good. You don't have to say
That's
my name
true.
right. They spell it wrong anyway. I be having
Garrow's
people.
better.
I
I
have
like
the
Garrow
most
better.
simple. I have the most simple name. This is like in the English Gary, and they spell it wrong. But whatever. Some people spell it wrong. They put an E in it, 2 R's, all that stuff. Whatever. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty
Yeah.
basic, simple Caucasian name. But whatever. No, but back to what I'm saying is as long as he has the money, he's paying people. He's paying people more than other people are paying guaranteed money, and he's getting the fight. It's not going to backfire. People are still going to fight for him. And once he's gone, guys are still going to fight because if you're in it, you at the end of the day, if he's not making the fights, you're going to have to go with whatever, who is ever making the fights, whoever bringing the money, because this is the career path that you chose. This is the career path that you put in so many years into. So you're still going to go to try to get the money that you need to get. And right now, yeah, he say something that might have rubbed Canelo wrong? Sure. But Canelo, even though he's the face of boxing, he's 34. You know, it's gonna be a new superstar coming over and taking over. It's gonna be somebody new. And you know, I just feel like, you know, he's making the fights. He's recently made the fights that people want to see, and people have been praising him because of that. Because you say you don't like the boxing model, and you like that in UFC, Dana White has control. Dana White says who fights who. You go here, you go. Turki Alalsheikh, Big Turk, let me just say that. He's now giving you the fights because now he's saying you cannot say it's about the money because I'm giving you the money. So don't say it's about the money anymore. You want this money. What do you want? I got this money for you. So right now I'm giving you this money. And so
he's not giving Canelo 200 million for Benavidez.
Because at a certain point, you're just being ridiculous. I'm giving you more money than you're getting for your other fights. So if I'm giving you more money than you're getting for your other fights, I'm giving you the payday that you want to fight. I'm not like, because a lot of times, like, you'll hear like boxers say, well, it ain't really worth it to go fight that guy. Like Bud says that with Boots. Now Bud says, okay, well, if you put up the right money, yeah, I will. That's what he keeps saying. The money's right. So Turki Alalsheikh is always put that in there, like the money's right. We don't have to worry about the money. You just saying, Big Baby, go ahead and fight Martin. Go ahead and fight Martin, right? He said because Turk called him. Turki Alalsheikh called him, was like, "Yo, you want to fight? Would you fight this guy?" Yeah, for the money. You got the money? Yeah, I'm gonna fight. So he's getting guys to get in there. Yeah, well, I'll fight him. So and everybody's calling on him anytime a big fight needs to be made. Well, let's see if Turki does it. They're not calling on Matchroom. They're not calling on Bob Arum. They're not calling on PBC. They're not calling on none of them guys to make the fight. They call. And here's the thing: is Matchroom is calling on Turki to help with the fights. Hey, I got Big Turk over here.
I think he's even. So you can't be mad at it. I think he's even discussed making a league where he like kind of absorbs all these different promoters and
almost makes a UFC league model like you like.
Yeah. Eduardo Dufau says, do you think it's possible that everything is arranged and Canelo will fight Crawford or Benavidez, and this is just a marketing strategy to sell very well the fight? That could be the case, but I think you're a bit of a conspiracy theorist if you believe that, Eduardo. But it's possible. You know, you never know. You know, maybe this is a big dog and pony show from Turki Alalsheikh and Canelo, you know, just to get people hyped and ready for a potential Canelo versus Benavidez or Canelo versus Crawford fight. Looks like Gary's frozen. So we'll continue until he unfreezes. Alex E says, I agree with Gary. All promoters do that to a certain extent, trying to manipulate the court of public opinion. I'm not saying that another promoter hasn't done it. I'm just saying that it's kind of disrespectful, you know, especially when you've never fought. Like, I don't know, it's crazy to me. Like, I'm not going to talk about, you know, a fighter like Canelo who's accomplished what he's accomplished being scared to fight someone else when, I'm not a fighter myself. Like, I just think you have to have at least been in that ring and experienced, what he's experienced in order to make that determination. Well, yeah, and Gary's back. Gary's back.
Yeah.
So, hey, Gary, I was saying, I was reading Alex's comment where he says he agrees with you.
I heard everything he said.
Okay,
I heard everything he said.
You heard me? Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean,
you know what it's like, Gary? You know what it's like? I'm not saying nobody's ever done it, but it's kind of like me sitting on the couch, right? When I don't know, when name me a Christian McCaffrey, right? Maybe he fumbles the ball or something, and I say, look at that moron. That guy's a moron. I could have done that. All you had to do is hold the ball in your hands, dumbass. Like, I feel like it's kind of like something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I won't say it's exactly like that, but it's like Bill Belichick coming on and ripping, Bill Belichick coming on and ripping a player. Bill Belichick never.
And looks like we lost Gary again. Alex, he says His Excellency is a breath of fresh air right now. He's making good fights where the other promotions were not. That was a good card overall, but too long. That's one thing I wanted to touch on before we get out of here, Alex, is some people are saying it was too long. For me, I love that, man. I love a long card. I want to spend a day at the arena or in front of the TV, especially if it's a Saturday. I want to spend the freaking 6 to 8 hours in front of the TV watching boxing. At least, for me, that's the kind of fan I am. I want to be all day at the fights. That's how it is with FightersRep. We typically have 15 to 18 fights. Now, you won't be all day at a FightersRep event because, kickboxing is only 3 rounds. But, you could expect 5 or 6 hours of action. And I want that at the very least when I go to an event. I think when you go to UFC events, if you're there from the very, very preliminary part of the card, I mean, you're there for Gary, I want to say you're there for 12 hours, bro. It is a long day.
That's a long.
But for me, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun for me though, man. Because you're drinking, you're eating, you're hanging out with the homies, you're going crazy. It's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
But Gary, I think that's all we got for him tonight, man. We appreciate you guys joining us. We've had a very long day, but we, of course, will continue to do this every Monday and Thursday. And I think next week, me and Gary are going to get to previewing the FightersRep cards, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. And, hit us up, drop a super chat, drop a super thanks, join the channel, subscribe to help us continue to build. Gary, you got anything for these guys, or are we done?
Sorry about the in and out. But yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, find me on Instagram, Ignorant Behavior. Subscribe. I'm doing some crazy stuff. And on Facebook is just Gary Martin. That's it.
I love it. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Appreciate you.